Thank you for sticking around, everybody. This is the new release rundown. We're joined by Ethan from Zulu's Board Game Cafe. Why don't you tell us about yourself and about Zulu's?
Yeah, my name's Ethan Lind. I work at Zulu's. Is that good?
Sure. If that's what you want to say, that's what you get to say.
I love board games, and so I'm here to talk about board games. Zulu's Board Game Cafe is in Bothell, Washington. Tons of free-to-play board games, food, beer. We have 2 new areas opened up, like new rooms and stuff, and an outdoor patio.
All the construction finished?
All the front construction is finished.
Oh, sweet.
So we have an outdoor patio that's just fantastic. It's got all this cool like rock wall on the inside and the outside. So It's kind of got this cool little castle loft feel.
I'll have to go visiting.
It's fantastic.
Last time I was there, it was still underway.
Oh yeah, people are loving it. And so the construction on the back of the building will happen pretty soon. That'll probably take 4 or 5 months, but
great.
But it's things are progressing and people are loving it. So.
And you also wanted to talk about your plans at PAX this year.
Yeah,
PAX
we
West.
actually we got in with PAX this year. We've been there in the previous years on the 6th floor of the main convention hall, and that's happening
So you
again.
were in the 6th floor in like the secondary exhibit hall. Is that what you were in, or were you in a private room?
No, in the main one. Like so in the convention center on the 6th floor, there's like a lot of indie games up there, and we're right up there with them.
Oh, okay.
And we have a giant board game, like the most titles out of everyone that sells board games there. And then they've now essentially made PAX Unplugged, put into the Hyatt Regency, which is 2 blocks away. So everything board gaming is there.
So all the tabletop stuff, all the analog stuff,
Yeah.
has moved out of the convention center into the Hyatt.
Exactly. So
Okay.
it's almost a separate convention at the same time, but it's all under the PAX umbrella. And we are the sole vendor within that room for board games. I mean, there's other companies that are selling their product, but
Is any of the tabletop
have
stuff
tons of
still
stuff.
in all of 8?
I'm not sure how that's going yet, if they're doing all of 8 or if they just I think they completely moved over to the Hyatt.
Okay.
I don't know if they're doing anything in all of 8, but there's like 6-7 floors in this hotel.
But
and it's
either
nice
way,
and-
you're going to have a huge presence there.
We're going to have a lot of stuff, and we're doing our best to get some of the hottest, newest titles there, and games that we're trying to get games that aren't even out yet, which we will have at least a few. I think Edge of Darkness will have from AEG. We're working on that right now. We should have tons of Root. We'll have Wingspan, and I just get there as soon as you can because I'm pretty sure these games are going to be hot and sell fast. So we'll have them in both locations, and it's going to be a great time. So definitely make sure you guys come check us out.
Well, yeah, especially because that's a reason why people who might be watching who aren't local to the area can come and connect with you.
Yeah, because I really want to get people the games that they can't even get their hands on, whether that's because they're out of stock everywhere or they're not even out yet. So
Great.
That's a big goal that we're working on this year to bring to all the attendees.
Awesome. Well, speaking of games, what games did you bring this week?
I brought a lot of games. I brought 7 titles here. I'm going to start with Grimm Masquerade, which I got to play last night.
Okay.
Kind of a last-minute thing. I just got the game in, and I'm like, well, let's check it out. My buddy Sean Epperson from Thing 12 Games played it with me, and man, I was kind of expecting like it's got this kind of cutesy, fairy tale
there's
right?
like there's
Grimm,
the Beauty and the Beast kind of thing.
it's basically it's at the Beast's ball,
Okay.
and everyone's wearing masks, so it's a social deduction game.
Okay. I
But-
like that. Keep talking.
But you're at the Beast's ball, so
Does that mean that somebody has to play the teapot?
no. So the only Beauty and the Beast character is the Beast. So there's characters from all the different fairy tales.
Yeah, so we got like Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, Rumpelstiltskin, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, those characters everyone's familiar with, which is cool. They're all, I guess, disguised and stuff and wearing masks, and they all have the goal of trying to collect the 3 artifacts they want. So you can actually see, probably can't see, but on the board, there's an artifact that each person wants, and there's an artifact that each person doesn't want. So
Hey, a clock. I told you.
the clock is in there, but he doesn't have a mustache. So
Where's
Kind of
the
a-
historical accuracy?
yeah, I don't think that's quite crossed over to the Disney. That
Sure,
probably would have
sure.
cost them $9 million more. So they're like, nah, whatever.
So it's a social deduction game where
Yes.
players are trying to collect an artifact.
Yeah, so basically everyone has a random character, and you're one of these characters on the board. And then at the start of the game, you get to draw an artifact out of a whatever amount. Like if there's 4 people playing, there'll be 6 random artifacts put out.
Okay.
Everyone gets to go around and take one. The extra 2 get discarded, and then on your turn, you get to draw 1 artifact. Decide if you want to keep it or give it to someone else. If you keep it, it could be because you want, and your hand's played face up, so everyone can see in your tableau what artifacts you're collecting.
Okay.
So you can either collect the ones you need because you're basically trying to get 3 of your artifacts to essentially win the round. It's a 3-round game.
Sure.
Or you can take an artifact that's maybe your Bane artifact, which you don't want, and if you get 3 of the artifact you do want, you automatically win the round. If you get 2 of the artifact that is your Bane artifact, you're revealed, and you essentially lose the round.
Okay.
Now, you're also trying to bluff, so you might be like, yeah, I'll take the spindle, even though you are Sleeping Beauty and you don't want the spindle.
Sure.
But then that makes people go, okay, they're not Sleeping Beauty. Why would they do that?
Okay.
You can also take a card and keep it, or you can give it to someone else.
What does somebody else have to accept it?
Nope, they have to take it. And then you're going to end up drawing 2 cards. So one, you either have to give one away and you have to keep one.
Okay.
The order you do that is up to you. So the first one, you're like, I don't want the treats. I'm giving it to you.
Okay.
I'm hoping you're Hansel, whose Bane is treats.
Okay.
And maybe you are, maybe you aren't. And then the other one, I have to take.
Okay.
Or I can choose to take this one, and then I have to give you the second one. And then you're basically just going around, and everyone's trying to figure out who's who. The kind of difference is once you've received 2 of an artifact, you have to say either, yes, I am that character, I've been revealed, or you say, no, I'm not that character, and you move on with your life. You go on the next round. But then you put a little marker on there of your color that says,
I am not
that
this
person.
Got it.
Yes. There's also actions you can do. So when you get 2 of an artifact, you can take some actions which are randomly determined by some cards they have.
Okay.
They'll do kind of, these are the actions. They'll do kind of special things. Like, you get to peek at certain items and, I don't know, all kinds of
So
things.
it's a social deduction game
Yeah.
where you're trying to like make a set, but instead of like a lot of other social deduction games, instead of being like teams and not knowing who's on what team,
Right.
you're trying to deduce everyone.
Yes, it's
or
total
more
free-for-all.
likely, you're trying to collect your set before you are revealed.
Pretty much. So it's 3 rounds, and a round can end in a couple ways. Either you can get all 3 artifacts of your character, or you were the last one standing. You're the only person that hasn't been revealed.
Sure.
There's also things you can do, like if you reveal somebody, there's a point the finger card. You can use that as an action where you discard 2 of your artifacts, and you can be like, I think you are the big bad wolf. And if you're right, you get a rose.
Okay. And roses, I imagine, are points.
They're essentially points, yeah.
Okay.
You get a rose from the beast, and if you're wrong, you get nothing, and it's not great.
So it looks like you get a rose if any action you take reveals somebody else.
Yes.
If you point, well, I guess it's the same thing if you point the finger and you reveal, or if you're wrongly accused. Okay?
Yes, exactly. So you collect these roses, and then each round has, round 1, if you win the round, you get a rose worth 1 point. Round 2, if you win that round, you get a rose worth 3 points. And round 3, you get a rose worth 5 points.
Do you change characters between rounds?
You do. Okay. You actually get everyone gets brand new characters.
So it's kind of like, it sounds like the first round is almost more training than competition.
For your first time, for sure. And that's the basics of the game. And then there's some things I didn't get into, but there are special powers that the person who's doing bad can get.
Okay. There's also a
there's
2-player game?
There's a 2-player version where you each control 2 characters.
Okay, because there aren't a whole
it does work.
There aren't a whole lot of deduction games that have 2-player versions.
No, there's definitely not. And it actually was pretty fun.
So you said you played the 2-player and it did actually work?
It actually did work okay. I still think the game would be better with 5, 6 people.
Sure.
But it was actually a viable thing.
But yeah, I mean, like it just being viable as a social deduction game at 2 is a pretty big accomplishment.
Is pretty cool. And so, and then there's also some wager cards, which I'm not totally sure what they do, but I know there's wager cards, there's treasures, and there's abilities that can add to the game. So once you understand the basics, you can add this to do the advanced mode. And
seems like a couple different things to tweak, basically.
Yeah, and it's a quick game. I mean, a round lasted 5 minutes.
Cool.
And so you go through it pretty quick.
So this sounds like people who like deduction games, people who like fairy tale themes.
Fairy tales, which is everywhere right now.
So I guess the deduction games are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them, and people tend to feel very strongly for or against them. It sounds like this is a deduction game where the focus isn't just deduction and trusting and lying, but there's also some direct gameplay and some information you might uncover. So do you think that folks who are uncomfortable with kind of Avalon or the Resistance or Secret Hitler, do you feel like this might be more up their alley?
So most, like the biggest deduction games are Secret Hitler, Resistance, and those are the games that can lead to yelling at each other, and some people love it and they thrive on it, and some people are like, this is not fun.
Yep.
Why do I want to yell at the people I'm playing games with?
Well, especially because a lot of those are, you don't have a lot of data to go on. You're kind of
no,
going.
you don't.
Yeah,
you're just hoping.
Yeah, well, you're going on your gut feeling. You're going on how people behave.
Sure.
But this sounds like if you can deduce from what they're collecting,
yes.
it seems like you have more information.
Yes.
And there's less of a we need to get together to point at one person and vote them off the island kind of thing.
I think this game's more about trying not to get discovered. And it's kind of nice because you have that board out there, and you get to, everyone gets to see that board. Everyone can see everyone's cards. So it's a little more light, where I was thinking you could play a version where people can't see your card. Like they see them when you get them and then they turn upside down or something. That might make it harder, but that's not like in the rules or anything.
The other traditional question we ask is, what's the spite level for this?
The spite
level? It doesn't
level?
seem to be as high as most social
It's much lower,
action.
yeah. It's like, oh, you got me.
Okay, all right.
I mean, it's not like, damn you, you'll rue this day.
Sure.
So nothing like that.
So folks who are maybe a little uncomfortable in kind of traditional deduction games might want to check this out?
I think so. And it's a deduction game you can play with your family or friends.
Great.
Like you could play this with a bunch of grown-ups and have a great time. You could also play this with your kids and have a great time. So, and this game, you get a lot. It's only a $25 game, and it's a great price. The art's fantastic. Like the production quality is very high. Skybound Games has been doing great, and they've been working with Druid City Games, who also made the Grim Forest, which I also recommend checking out because that's a fantastic game too. But that game is way more ruthless than this one. So if you want something light social deduction that has high production quality, this is definitely your game.
Great. What do you want to talk about next?
Why don't you grab me something from over there?
Like what?
Let's go Dizzle. Since you're not touching that, and you grab something else.
Yep. Good job.
Dizzle. So rolling rights, right? They're a thing now, and
they are undeniably a thing.
They are undeniably a thing, and so everyone's making rolling rights right now, and a lot of them seem to kind of have some crossover. Which, from what I understand, this one, there's I think a German game called like Gonsong Clever, and what's the other one? Dopplet So Clever, but it's what's That's So Clever and Twice as Clever. And this game, I believe, takes some ideas from that, but I haven't played them.
Looks like there's multiple different scoring sheets, play
Yeah.
sheets.
So this game has 4 levels of scoring sheets.
Okay.
And that's what's kind of cool about it is most of these roll and writes have one sheet. This one has levels like easy to super mega hard, and you get dice, and you're basically just rolling the dice, and then there's little pips on the board. And you take turns drafting the dice and then placing them on your board to get points. And you get points for things like getting these gems, and then there's all these scoring things. There's puzzle pieces on there where if you get both the puzzle pieces, then you get 10 points.
Sure.
There's all kinds of stuff. You can also get negative points, where that's what these bombs do.
Sure.
If you get a bomb spot, then everyone else has to they like lose that spot and they lose points.
Okay.
So you can actually affect your opponents by getting these bomb spots first.
That's not a common thing in roll and writes. It's directly interacting with other players.
So you're basically you roll all these dice, and then we go back and forth drafting them, and you place them on your map where the pips go, and then after the round's over, you remove them and you X off all the spots you got. Now this first board is like super easy. It tells you how many rounds you play, and there's a single player variance and all that stuff. And then you're like, cool, we mastered this board. That's boring. On the back side, you get level 2. So you can actually ruin that, and then you get a little more advanced board. There's more things on there. There's now 2 types of gems. There's a key. You have to get these keys to unlock. Before you can go to this lock spot, you have to get this spot unlocked. And it's like, okay, that's added some things. And then halfway through the book, you get a level 3 board, which is even more nuts and more things. And then there's the level 4 board on the back of that one. And that one adds like rocket ships and stuff, which let you blast around the board. And there's even a poop spot, apparently, which I think they said in the instruction is labeled as a brown pile. Like, it's poop, man.
A special field brown pile.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's...
All right.
It's a dog turd. Let's not... There's no
the brown pile field.
Yeah. So... Yeah, whatever. I don't know why poop is so exciting.
So what are the shapes on the scoring sheet for?
So like over here?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, like if you look here, you know, there's kind of a long shape. There's the figure 8. There's a square.
So
like, why are they separated?
These aren't connected because you can actually use the rocket ship to. It doesn't give you any points. It allows you to go into other areas.
Okay.
It's like
so
a movement.
Does it, like when you say connected, does that mean that when you are drafting dice, you have to fill in a die that you're adjacent?
They have to.
Okay.
They have to connect. So
Okay.
you can't just go wherever you
Great.
want.
So that explains why you kind of have these different shapes.
Yes.
To kind of maneuver around.
Yeah, and so you get a start by wherever you're somewhere around the X's, and then you're going off of that. You're building off of that basically.
Cool.
It's actually one of the roll and writes I've really enjoyed recently. I feel like a lot are kind of,
Is there another roll and
look
write?
at that. See, even on the side it says right here, that's so clever. So clearly it's got some influence.
Is there another roll and write that you think this is similar to? That if
This.
somebody really right there we go.
Literally, this is the closest one, but it's called Dizzle, which I don't know what a Dizzle is. But
It's this. This is a Dizzle.
Da Pelt's so clever, which we also sell because fun. I don't know if it's actually. I think it has a couple mechanics, but I haven't seen anything where you have the board and you're trying to X things off yet. You're usually getting some resources so you can pay for things, and this one's just kind of fun for everybody game.
Cool. So if you're a fan of roll and writes, get it.
Which yes, you should be. And it's cheap. It's like $20. Who doesn't have $20? Come on.
All right. What next?
Let's go over here to
Imhotep Duel.
Imhotep, the Duel, which if you're familiar with the regular Imhotep, you will already understand this game pretty well because it's very similar. The main thing is that instead of the community kind of working on the goal together to build pyramids and such, you're dueling and you're each building your own set of pyramids and obelisks and all that stuff. So each person has this board. You can pop these out.
I wasn't going to steal that joy from you.
Oh, it's so fun popping things out.
See, that's why I didn't want to hog it.
So I don't need to set up the whole thing necessarily, but the board is just this kind of line. It's nothing super fancy. And then in the middle, you have this harbor here. And the harbor, so this is your harbor, you'll have these boats on the ports. So there's 6 ports. And there's a ton of tiles. All these tiles on this board here all have things like pyramid pieces and points and all that stuff. And there's obelisk pieces on this one. And then there's more pyramid pieces here and abilities that you get. So basically on this board...
There's also some weirdly lumpy meeples who
got
appear
these,
to have something in their pockets.
You've got these workers.
I think these workers are wearing cargo shorts and have put
well, that's
lots
how you
of
carry
rocks
stones
in
to
their
build
cargo
pyramids,
short pockets.
Is in your cargo shorts.
Yep, that's historically accurate.
Obviously what they do. Yeah, dude.
See what I mean?
And is this 2 people staying on top of each other? Because that guy's...
It's either
with a trench coat
It's
on?
either 2 kids in a
Overcoat?
trench coat or they have rocks in their cargo shorts.
So basically, the boats each carry 3 tiles, and you'll have a big pool of tiles that get randomly put on these boats. The boats come in, and then you have to place your workers down to carry the stuff. So, but you can't like put a guy here in this row. You can see there's like a tic-tac-toe size grid, and if you put a guy here, there has to be a second guy in that row or column before the stuff can be taken.
Okay.
So it can be both your guy or you and your opponent. And then basically say the white guy is here and he was first, he gets to pick a thing, and then the guy who's closest gets to pick the second thing.
Okay.
And then the third thing goes back to the pile.
Okay.
And so you're kind of
There's like a worker placement drafting element.
Basically,
Okay.
yes. And then you're putting those on your board where you have 2 pyramids you're trying to build. You have this gray pyramid and brown pyramid, and the more pieces you get, the more points you get. You have a temple you're trying to build with the circle symbols wherever they were. There's an obelisk that you just keep building on and try to get the tallest obelisk. Yeah, those right there. And then there's just, there's different scoring for everything. Oh, the tomb. The tomb is kind of the most interesting one. There's pieces that just have a number or something, and you put them around this tomb, 1 through 12, and then you get points for each consecutive that's next to it. So it says right here, if you have 1 piece by itself, you get 1 point. If you have 2 in a row, you get 4 points, and so on. And you'll get multiple points. So you might have 2 or 3 in a row up here and get points, and then have more over here and get more points for that. So there's just a bunch of different ways to do it.
So I remember Imhotep, like the larger game, was very, very popular. It was it was one of kind of the hits of Gen Con when it came out.
Yeah.
How similar is this to how that game plays?
It's pretty similar to. It's not like I'm buying the same game. This is the 2-player version. It has elements. Like I said, you're not
so familiar, but
there's
new.
no really working together to get points. Like you each have your own board that you're working on. We're not working on the same pyramids. I'm trying to do something. You'll have your own thing. I'm trying to do something different than you. The only part we share is that in that harbor, we can both get stuff in the same boat. Other than that,
there's the placement.
You're just trying to get more points than them, and then there are actually abilities that you can get later that let you do extra things. So
how good of a translation do you think it was from Imhotep, the larger game, to this 2-player game?
Actually, pretty good, and I like that because games like Imhotep, like you can play 2 players, right? But it's
not really designed for that.
It's not designed for that. And there's a lot of games that are like, this is 2 for 4, but at 2 it's not fun.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't have
this
that magic.
Is actually fun at 2, and if you really want to get into it, you are. I don't know if you have headdresses and stuff, but you can be. What are these people's names? They're hard to say. You got Nefertiti and Akhenaten. I 100% said that wrong, but
I think it's Akhenaten.
Yeah, close enough.
Something
right?
like that.
You're more right than me. These are essentially the Egyptian rulers that you're playing as, the pharaohs, if you will. So, and I think they're like husband and wife or something. Is the way I read.
It's complicated.
Yeah, they got some kind of weird relationship going on. They know each other. But yeah, dude, it's a cool game, and I have a lot of people come in that like, do you have a game for me and my wife to play? 2 players, and it's like, yeah, I have about 3.
Well, so how does this compare to some of the other popular 2-player games like Morels and Patchwork and stuff like that?
I'd say harder than more going on than Patchwork. Like Patchwork's fantastic, simple game. A little more than Patchwork, but not as complex as like 7 Wonders of Duel, which I think is one of the best ones out there. But it's also a little harder to get into. This one's pretty straightforward, and it's really more about just getting into the game and having here's the ways to score, and then we'll see how the pieces come out.
So it's a good kind of middle complexity 2-player game.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend this to so many people that like people are always looking for something new, and they just don't come out with enough of them. So I'm really happy that Cosmos has done this, and I think a lot of companies are also going to follow this footsteps and say, look, we made this game that's great with 4 players. Let's make the 2-player version.
What's the spite level?
You'll stay married if you play it with your wife, but.
All right.
But you might have to sleep on the couch if you win.
So reasonably high, but not earth-shattering.
Not earth-shattering.
Okay.
You'll stay together. You're not gonna break up over it.
Okay. Great.
What a divorce.
So definitely recommended for people who like 2-player games, or looking for 2-player games.
Absolutely.
Recommended for
You don't have to be married to play it
Imhotep.
too. You can play it with someone that you just know.
I think that's permitted for most games.
Okay, good.
I don't think
that's clear.
I don't think there's a whole lot of marriage police who go around making sure that people are married when they're playing games.
Are you married? No, you can't play this game. It's not for you.
Great. What's next?
Actually, I'd like to do. Let's do this one right here. It's Arkhanos.
The Towers of Arkhanos.
So I gotta say, great production value.
That's a thick rulebook.
Great art. It is a thick rulebook, and we'll talk about that, why it's so thick. I had a few issues with this game. I mean, this isn't really a board game review show, so we won't go into that too much. But this rulebook, or this game is in 6 languages, so you're essentially buying 6 rulebooks. You'll probably only need about 7 or 8 pages of it.
Okay, well, I mean,
then you get a brand new rulebook. So
I mean, that's probably just making production easier.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be a rule book, and that was all the rules that you needed. But if it's only 8 pages, that makes for a very different game.
That's why I picked this up, and I was like, oh my god, this game looked a lot simpler, and it's 47 pages.
And we have see-through meeples.
But it's actually 6 rulebooks all stapled together. So this right here is the actual rulebook if you speak English, and then there are 5 other languages you can learn this game in.
That makes me think that we just bought some sort of electronic device, and that is the setup manual.
Yeah. So where they succeeded was in the game's beautiful, the art, like the graphic design is really cool. Gameplay is a little stale as far as I was concerned.
Well, what does it play like?
But
how does it play?
It's so what I liked is it's something I've never seen before. It is essentially the
But hold
heart.
on. It's something you've never seen before.
Yes.
But it's stale.
But it didn't blow me away.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it's bad. I'm just saying I wasn't I wanted more out of it.
Well, we're going to find out who this is for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us.
So these tiles are essentially towers.
Okay.
And you're going to have 4 towers. Now, there are some starting tiles, but we won't worry about those for the sake of the time.
So from all these tiles, you only use 4 per game? Or
Start with 4.
Okay.
You can use all of them, but you probably won't.
Okay.
You basically have these towers, and they're set up in a triangle around a central tower. And the outer towers get you more points, but there are limitations to what you can put there.
Okay.
So at its core, this is a dice drafting worker placement game.
Okay.
Where you're wizards and wizard apprentices, and you're trying to build the Towers of Arkhanos together, but you're also very selfish wizards, and you want your team to, you want Gryffindor to beat Slytherin, sort of thing.
No, the other way around.
The other way around. Okay, so you want Slytherin to beat Gryffindor.
Correct.
Or you got Hufflepuff, and I guess that's Ravenclaw. They actually have all the Harry Potter colors, I just realized. So, and then the ones with the star hole in the middle they're master wizards, and the other ones are just apprentices, so they're just like a regular meeple.
Sure.
The only difference is you have mostly apprentices, and they're worth 1 influence point, which we'll talk about in a bit, and the wizards are worth 2, the master wizards.
Sure.
So the goal is you roll some dice.
I was just something like, where are the friggin' dice?
I'll let you roll some dice.
And the answer is the dice are in the bag.
You get your spell book, I get my spell book.
How many dice do I grab?
Well, just say like 5. If we're playing a 2-player game, you get 5.
6.
You get 6. So you have these, you've randomly drawn them. Now you have this tile. It's like you can only put a purple 1 or 2 on this tile. And then there's 3 spots. Either you get 2 points, you get to add a second apprentice, do another action where you can put them in your spell book for later, or you can put them on a tower pillar to basically support another spot. Okay. Or you can gain 1 point, 1 prestige point for every level that this tower is, which is a level 1, it's 1 point. Later in the game it might be 4, and be worth a lot more.
Okay.
However, you've rolled nothing that can go there. So what do? Well, you can put any color on the middle tile, and it doesn't matter. But there's also no reward.
Sure.
So what happens when...
Can I put this red 4 right there? Is that how it
legal?
goes?
No. So it goes on one of the pillars. So
okay. So
2, 4, and 6 can go
see.
there, red, awesome. You're like, I want 2 points, I get 2 prestige.
Okay.
You take one of your apprentices, you put him there so that you know that you did it.
Okay.
And then say when this thing fills up, let's get a wizard in there, say I'm green, and then we'll say yellow's playing as well. And just for the sake of learning quickly, we've put these here even though they're not legal.
Okay.
Once the board gets to 3 dice, you get to score it. So what happens is, if it's an outer tower, everyone who, you see who's the most influence. So each of these wizards is worth 1, right? Or each of these apprentices, and then the wizard's worth 2. So he actually is worth the most influence, so he wins. On the outer tower, you get 6 points. Second place will get 4. If there's a tie, they get 3. So then you score, get a new tower, you remove your apprentices, and then a new one comes up.
Okay.
The only difference...
So basically the dice colors are going to be slowly depleted over time.
Yeah, so these
because
dice
you're using the dice to build the tower up.
Yes. So sometimes the dice come out and you're like, these colors all stink, and you're just, the middle tower seems to start off much better. But when you're scoring the middle tower, the points are like halved. So it's not worth as much and you don't get the special stuff. There's also 6 spells you can do, which one of them is pick whichever spell you want, that let you swap dice and stuff like that. So you can kind of try to deny people certain dice so that, hey, I see there's a red 3 out there, or a purple 3, and they need it. I can swap it, and I can get it instead and put it with this yellow one that they don't want.
Sure.
So there's a little bit of that, which is fun.
So it basically seems like it's kind of almost like micro territory control dice rolling.
Yeah, kind of, because you do want to control the towers.
But like it seems like you're doing this kind of quick cycle of territory control.
Very quick.
Doing a quick tower, scoring it, doing another quick tower, scoring it.
You don't have a lot of meeples, and so also it takes a dude to have the spells.
Sure.
So you're never going to have like all 6 spells.
Sure.
But you can use them whenever you want on your turn, and they're just little extra abilities. The other thing is there is the one where you get the ability where you get to place an extra meeple, and so that lets you put it in your spell book, which is one of the ways you get access to a spell. And it goes on the spell of whatever number you rolled or something. You can also use them to put in place of a die instead and complete a spot.
Okay.
So, but if you do that and the next tower's built, they're basically there. They're holding up the next level, so they're out for until the game is over. So you're losing a meeple, but you can afford to lose one.
It's like your farmers in Carcassonne.
Especially at the end, you can afford to lose them.
Okay.
So it's got this really cool idea. Personally, I just want a little more from it. But I love the idea.
It seems like a pretty accessible game. And
I thought the towers were going to be like up here.
If you want to play with dice and build towers, sounds like it's pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
No, absolutely. And they put all that production value is fantastic.
Great. So yeah, I mean, if you like wizards, casting spells, building towers, and apparently being selfish jerks, then this is for you.
Honestly, this game could have been themed as Harry Potter, which I'm not saying it should be. But
it's got the colors. So in your mind, that's going to be your headcanon from now on.
Harry
this is how Hogwarts was built?
Yes, that's how I get my wife to play board games with me. Is I'm like, this is a Harry Potter themed game. She's like, oh, okay.
Look, you got to do what you got to do.
I'll play it. Yeah.
So what's the spite level on this, though? I'm going to keep asking you. You got to prep for this.
Spite level. It's like every time I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Spite.
I don't know. I mean, well, here's the thing. I won by like 1 point. So that was pretty awesome. And I think the spite from my wife was higher more because I was like, I got you by 1 point. And
so what you're saying is that
I was kind of a jerk.
When playing with you, there's 2 spite levels to consider.
Yes.
One is the game, and the other is how much of a jerk you're going to be playing the game?
Yes. So if I win, I'm like, I'm awesome, you're horrible. And if I lose, I'm like, this game is dumb. So
you ever thought about maybe
don't play games with me.
You ever thought about maybe working on that?
I'm getting better. I'm in therapy right now. Don't worry about it.
Board game therapy.
Board game therapy. You guys haven't heard of that? No, it is a fun little game, and I also think again, part of the problem is we play 2 players, and I think it would be a lot more fun with 4 players.
I bet.
So I'm gonna probably give it another chance down the road, but yeah, the greatest thing is it's got new ideas I've never done before.
Yeah, somebody mentioned colorblind friendly. It doesn't look like. I mean, I'm not sure, but it seems like the color choices we have.
They're pretty different. Like sometimes you get like an orange and a red, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, there's actually. Why don't we double check that? Because I didn't see any like blue and green,
no,
so
like
it might not be bad.
Red. No, there's no green. There is a blue.
So we have blue, yellow, purple, red, and I think that's it.
That's it. Just those 4. Yeah.
So I am not colorblind, so I don't know how well those translate.
Right.
But it looks like we have a colorblind app, maybe. Oh,
really?
Okay.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay.
There we go. Okay, yeah. So the blue and the purple are going to be tough for folks who have Deuteronomy.
So that's blue, like and this looks dark blue.
So then blue. Yeah. So it looks like red and green are going to be a little bit tough.
Yeah.
Because it looks like these 2 colors are really similar. That's a really neat app.
I didn't even know that existed.
Well, apparently, I'm going to say every board game designer should go get that app. Because that seems like it would be really helpful.
No, for sure.
So it looks like
especially if you're making a board game, you should get that app.
Looks like for some folks, the color might work, but for others, they may have a little bit of a difficulty.
Or it might work to your advantage because you're like,
hold that open. We're going to make some noise.
That is purple. Riveting stuff right here.
There we go.
There we go. We got them all.
Everybody likes dice. Yeah, but that is a really neat app to kind of demonstrate. We couldn't show the app on camera there, but it was neat. Like one half of the screen is the colorblind. You can kind of cycle through different types, and the other half is like the normal vision. Normal in air quotes. So it's really kind of just neat to see that you just pan it back and forth, and it shows you what it is. It's really neat.
Pretty awesome. Let's jump into Sierra West. Probably the heaviest game I brought, but I really want to make sure people see this game.
Warcry. I imagine that the box is pretty heavy.
I know this is bigger. Well, yes. Okay, in weight of games, yes, it wins. But in difficulty, this one's more.
Okay. So
this is a pretty interesting game with 1,000 pieces I didn't punch out.
Yep.
Because
looks like I'm getting a feeling that there's an enormous board.
So I'm not going to go through every single thing because there's 4 variants of this game, plus there's a solo mode. But the board is very key, and I want some of these cards. I apologize I didn't open these in advance. So actually, if you want to get those open.
Did you not know where you were going,
sir?
I
know. What an idiot. There's a couple. This board is so much to set up. It's crazy. So you have a number of things going on here.
Okay. So here's some cards.
Yes.
We got apples, we got raccoons and skins and a banjo. What is happening?
Yeah. So let's just start by saying this game is kind of 4 games in one that all play similar.
I mean, just look at that card. There's a lot going on there.
There is the easy mode is all about apple picking, I guess, and getting apples. There is a river one where you're going down the river. There's a gold mine.
Do they all use the same rules?
They use very similar rules, but then they'll add something a little different to the gameplay each one. And then there's one where you're even like, I think you're like sheriffs or something.
Well, just to clarify, like, are these different kind of game components you add to make the game larger, or are they different, like, mutually exclusive ways to play the game?
So they don't necessarily change the mechanics of the game.
Okay.
They just change almost the theme of the game.
But do you play them all at the same time?
No.
Okay, so
they're all separate.
Okay.
They call them modules, so it's like a separate game. It's kind of like getting a game and then getting 4 different ways to play the same game.
But you're basically picking which module you're going to play.
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't see anything about, here's a modular where you can play all of them. But you'll have the cards get laid out super unique, and this is why I'm glad we opened them. One, you'll have these cards are set up like in a pyramid, like in that game Pyramid, where the cards kind of go like this. Sure. I'm probably doing it wrong, but
the Seven Wonders Duel is kind of like that.
Yeah,
too.
the art all lines up so you can see and whatever. So these cards get uncovered as you go. So there's like a mine card.
Okay.
And you'll have this mountain, and I'm just half setting it up, but you'll have a little that's meat. You get these little pioneer bros, right? Mm-hmm. And you have one guy who's climbing the mountain, and he's trying to uncover these cards for you. And as he uncovers the cards, sometimes you get him into your options of cards, because you'll also have this board here that's like your camp. And so you have all these cabins and stuff. And so it's got a little bit of programming, and this is
Wait a minute.
Oh, is this colorblind mode on the back?
No, it's not. I think it's just you plug it in and it covers some stuff up.
Yeah, so this is something I've never seen, is all the cards have these symbols on them, and there's 2 tracks. There's like a dirt track and a grass track. And you get to plug these cards in to your little board here, like so, which is more difficult than I thought it would be.
No, I don't think you can plug into the middle one.
They go like this.
Can you?
Yep. You'll have 1 in the middle.
Huh. Okay.
And 2 on top, and they overlap the middle. So it'll look something like that. Sorry, I can't hold that up.
Well, here, let's do it like this.
Sure.
So you do that.
And they'll make a mountain range.
Okay, and then I get one more that goes like this. Oop. Everything is being destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And this will create your path. So you have a grass path, and I think this actually goes up here.
There you go, yeah.
Bing. Okay. So then you have another pioneer bro over here, and you'll have 2 of them going along this track. And then there's things that happen. I don't know what every one of them means, but some of them help your guy move up the mountain. You got another wagon. There's so many things going on in this game. It's out of control. You have a wagon down here that's trying to move around and get you stuff, get you points. So you got all these pioneers going out west to try to get apples and do stuff. And then there's a scoring track. And like I was trying to go through this game, and I'm like, this game is so confusing. It was blowing my mind. Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah. So they actually can stay in there a little bit.
If you lean it forward.
The mountain range correctly. But there's a scoring track in here that I'd love to dig out. There it is. So this is the scoring track where you can get points. You got meat, wood, stone, typical things. There it goes. And you're scoring, like, there's so many things to go over. And I am terrible at this. But that's okay.
I mean, this seems like Great Western Trail. That was the other
that's the
Western
first game
complicated
that
game.
reminded me of.
Okay.
And then his is your apple track, but apparently you can use it's community apples. So if you don't use all your apples, like other people can use them.
Okay.
But there's things going on where you go in these cabins and you can hunt creatures like rabbits and stuff and buffalo. Kind of has that Oregon Trail feel to it, like Lewis and Clark. And yeah, you're pretty much just.
So this sounds like a complicated game of multiple interlocking subsystems.
Yes, it's very complicated in the way that there's 1,000 things going on. However, once you understand how they all work together, it's actually pretty simple.
The most important thing is that there is a donkey meeple.
Yes, there is a burrow, if you will, is what I call it.
Permitted.
Permitted.
But
he has his own cabin too. He gets to stay there.
The donkey gets his own cabin?
He gets his own cabin. He's got to sleep somewhere. He can't sleep outside. Come on. He's got gear on his back.
Have you met donkeys?
He's had a tough life.
Well, yes, that is absolutely true. But with your comment of a lot of complication, but not in the individual subsystems, kind of reminds me of Scythe. In that, like, there's a lot going on, but none of the individual pieces are that complex.
Right.
It's
like go here, get a reward.
Yeah. The complexity is in the interconnectedness of them.
Correct.
So this is kind of similar to that?
I wouldn't say it's similar to Scythe, but it's similar to that same idea where you're doing that. Because then, like, there's cards in these mountains. So they like, there's all these spots you're doing, but they all work together. You'll get apple trees in here somewhere. Great.
An apple tree over
let's
here.
just get an apple tree. And so when you uncover an apple tree, you'll either get a card that goes into your hand and you get to now put it in your board with the programming stuff, or you'll uncover a tree, which goes down here, or a mine, or whatever mission you're doing. And then as your little train, or I think it's a wagon, as the farther it goes down, you're getting rewards behind you.
Sure.
So there could be all these apple trees out here, and if your wagon's not up there, you're not getting those rewards.
Okay.
So you also want to progress that guy as well. And then the game basically ends when this thing gets full of trees and the mountain's been climbed down, and I don't know, life is good, I guess.
So if you want that frontier spirit, basically, and you really want a million simple subsystems coming together for increasingly emerging complexity.
And it's like, it's kind of 4 games in one that all take place in the same theme, but it's different aspects of that. Because you got your gold mining, you got your West outlaw stuff.
Interesting.
You know, you got as simple as picking apples. That's kind of their starter scenario. It's just this apple rush. I don't know. Apples are a big thing apparently in the Sierra West.
An apple a day, doctors. There's no doctors in the West, something like that.
Especially back in the day when they didn't have, you know, all these cool medicines. So if you just eat an apple, you can't, like, you're good from snakes.
I don't think that's true.
No?
That's probably why a lot of people died from snakes, because they were following your advice.
I read the wrong books in school.
So, people who like, and this doesn't seem to be like a random game. There's one die.
There's one die.
But so, like, if you want like a Euro game, if you want something with lots of interconnected systems, or if you're just a really big fan of kind of frontier America.
Yeah, even though there's a die in here, don't be fooled. This is very much a Euro-style game.
Great.
Like you do this, you get this. You choose those actions. So there's some worker placement and card programming, which is becoming also a big thing, is where you're at.
There's definitely a lot going on in here.
And you're not always going to get through this track, which is kind of brutal. So
sure. Well, just the idea of having all these different modules, of which you apparently are going to pick one, and you have multiple other ones to go through.
So there's like 4 different setups essentially.
And somebody in chat was also talking about how they can very easily see this expanded.
Oh yeah, they can make more modules. They can. I don't know. It's brand new. It's something that I haven't seen, so it really interested me. I'm hoping to get a full game in instead of just a little test game to kind of understand it. And you can even tell that I still haven't grasped the game entirely. But I'm trying, so leave me alone.
We're getting there.
Getting there.
Here, why don't you put that in?
So
why don't you put that
oh, look at that.
that
I didn't
bag.
even know this. You also get a promo tile for Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan?
Yeah, sure. That game? Yeah, I don't know what any of this means, but if you buy it, you get stuff for other games.
It's a neat crossover.
Cool little crossover. Yeah, because they don't have anything to do with each other, but they must be the same company. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so lots of stuff to set up, lots of stuff to put back. See, fits right back in the box.
If this goes well, I certainly imagine this getting some sort of broken token expansion. Then.
It seriously needs one. I mean, they've done a pretty good job with their insert already, which is very much appreciated. However, even more could be done.
Well, it's just trying to figure out where even anything goes.
Like in tennis, they have the ball boy, you know, who just grabs the balls in the way. You need a guy who just grabs the board game and just sweeps it on the ground, and then like we go done, and then he cleans it up over there while we're doing stuff.
Yeah. So why don't you say that to the production crew and see how excited they are about that idea?
Well, look, there's Pepsi in the fridge. If you want one, you know what you gotta do. No?
I don't see them. I don't see them leaping for that opportunity. I've got to say.
I got a knuckle sandwich coming after this is over. No, thanks guys. You guys are awesome.
All right. What next? I think we're down to 2 games.
5-2-1-1 over there.
It is.
I want to do that, and then we'll get into Warcry.
Okay.
I'll probably talk a while on that one. 5211 is the game you play in between games, or we're just hanging out in the hotel room. It's 2 in the morning. We're not ready for bed yet. Let's play some 5211.
Okay.
Super simple card game. It was created overseas, and it's come to America. It's the overseas version. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a little more plain, boring looking. And they brought it over here, and they put all this crazy looking abstract art on it, which has absolutely nothing to do with the game, but it
pretty.
looks really cool. So, yes, it's for American. Now, the way you play the game is in the name, 5211. Essentially what that means is you draw 5 cards, and then you each play 2, and then you reveal, you each play 1, you reveal, you each play 1, you reveal.
Okay.
And that's a whole round.
Okay.
Sounds super simple. However, there's a whole bunch of scoring things that make this game crazy. So for one, if you can find a card with a lizard on it, they call them Kododos. And that's the lizard. Anyway, these guys are basically the ones in this game. This is a 1. And when you're playing a game, you say, okay, look, we have 4 players. So the Kododo limit is 6.
Okay.
So we'll each have our hand of 5, right? Well, let's do 2 since there's 2 of us. The Kododo limit is 4. So we'll each grab 2 cards out of our 5. You have way too many cards.
Great. I'm good at this game.
So we would just put down 2 randomly. Don't even worry about what you're doing. We'd flip them over. I got a yellow 3 and a greenish blue 2. You have a 2 and you have a Kododo. And then we would refill our hands, and we would pick one of those cards and put them down, flip them over, and then screw refilling, just do it again. Boom.
Yep. More Kododos.
Yay. Yep. So now we get to scoring, and we check first. Are there 4 Kododo cards? There are 1, 2, 3. So no, there's not 4 Kododo cards.
Okay.
So had there been 4 Kododo cards, everyone who played a Kododo would take their Kododo, man, that's a fun word, and just put it to the side. That is a point you'll get at the end of the game. There's not. So next thing, we go to the color that has the majority,
orange.
which is orange.
Yep.
Orange has 3. Now, the limit is 5.
Okay.
So we're under the limit. Cool.
Okay.
So now everyone who played an orange card, which is you get all your orange cards.
Love it.
And you scored. Had there been 5 or more orange cards, they would all get discarded.
Okay.
And we go to the next color down the row.
Okay.
And this is just meant to be a quick game of basically you can screw people over. So like I can see you play 3 orange
basically,
cards.
it seems like it's kind of a trick-taking game.
In a way,
very, very simple trick.
Except multiple people can get the trick.
Sure.
So I could have played 2 orange cards so that we hit the limit, and I'm like, oh man, you have points, and the cards are worth the points of the number on there.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, you played an orange 6, and I only have a 2 and a 3. I don't want orange to score anymore, so I'm going to play another orange card, and orange is going to go away.
Okay.
But I have a lot of yellow or blue, and I want that to be the next highest one. So then you just go down. If there's a tie, you just keep going down the line until something gets weeded out or no points happen.
The other thing I want to note here is I think my wife would be happy, because the cards have numbers in every corner. So if you're right-handed, you can see everything. And then if you're left-handed, you can still see everything. Did I do that right? I think I did that right. Yep. So she'd be happy. I guess in our theme this episode is looking at colorblind and handedness.
Yes. No, absolutely. And that's something games need to address for sure.
So it seems like a very, very simple, very straightforward trick-taking game.
It's very simple.
Neat.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, anyone can play it.
Very, very pretty,
I think it's up there with Point Salad. Everyone should buy it. It doesn't matter if it's for your family or your friends. This is the game that's going to get played a lot, just hanging out. Come get it as soon as you can.
Yep, so if you want a fast trick-taking game with
kind
of a neat art style.
I mean, it's cheap and it's fun.
Cool.
Which is good in my book. I don't know.
All right. So it sounds like you were preparing for a final showdown.
We're going to play an entire game of Warcry right now. I'm just kidding.
We are absolutely not going to do that. Nice try, though.
To be honest, if I had it pre-set up, we could play a game and not do anything else. But it is a faster game. So,
because basically this is the kill team of Sigmar.
So that's essentially what people are saying, except it is and it's not. So if you're into miniatures, you're probably gonna like this game. If you're not into miniatures, this is also a game to get started on. I didn't bring all the components because there's a ridiculous amount, and so I just brought a few samples of some of the terrain you get. you get
like this giant head.
Yeah, that's apparently the head of a Sigmar that has been ruined. So there's a ton of stuff you get for the value. I've never seen a Games Workshop core box come with so much.
Even the Kill Team core box, that had a lot of stuff in it too.
But this one is on par. Like, you get more miniatures.
There were a couple things that I found really interesting that I hope that, because Kill Team's where my heart's at, because 40K.
Oh, fair enough, yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that I heard about this that made me want to pick it up, that I hope that they will eventually kind of bring over to Kill Team. In particular, because it seems like you've got a deck of cards that are the map, right? So like if you're figuring out your scenario, so you draw a card for the map.
Yes.
You draw a card for the mission.
Yes.
You draw a card for the deployment zone, and then you draw a card for like the twist or like
so. That's exactly right.
Like the randomly generating the board and the game setup sounds really intriguing to me.
So that's what's kind of fun, and you can also there's also pre-made campaigns in there. You can also just set up and play those. But yes, so you have this deck of cards, and there's 30 cards here in each deck, roughly. And so you're randomly just picking a train, and then you're like, okay.
Yep, set the train up like this.
This is how the train gets set up. And that, you know, you don't have to be exact, but you do something very close. And then you do your victory card. So you have your victory card, and it's like, you know, kill their leader or something like that. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. And then you got your deployment zones, which is obviously whatever. It tells you what round certain guys come in. So you actually you split your warband up into 3 armies, essentially, 3 little squads. You got your dagger, which is always the first one deployed. You got your shield and your hammer. And your shield has to be at least, I believe it's a 30 or units or something. And then where they deploy depends on your deploy card. So you might have, it's not like Warhammer where it's like, my guys are on this side of the map and your guys are on that side of the map. It's like, we start here, and then round 2, my guys are coming in behind you, and your guys are coming in behind me, and chaos ensues.
Chaos, you say? Because these are all Chaos Warbands.
There's a lot of Chaos. There's actually 6 brand new Chaos Warbands, which are unique to this game. And then there's like another 8 or 9.
And so this starter box comes with
factions you can use.
With the Iron Golems, who are these really burly armored guys.
This guy is a monster.
And then you have the Untamed Beasts, who are kind of the barbarian folks.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of He-Mans rolling around. They even have a lion. Pretty cool stuff. So
yeah, because it also comes with a whole bunch of a Chaos Beast too. And like the set comes with 2 full warbands, a whole bunch of terrain, all the cards, and then a bunch of Chaos Beasts that you can also kind of deploy.
There's a couple twists in there where you have these beasts that are just in your battlefield, and you can actually. This game is it's a back and forth game, where it's I do something with one guy, you do something with one guy, sort of thing. You can activate a beast and use that beast as if it's on your team. However, there is a bit of a rub. When you activate a beast, you have to roll a die, and if you roll a 1 or a 2, then your opponent gets to activate the beast instead of you. And so it is it could misfire on you because it's a beast. You know, you're not sure if you can tame that beast correctly, I guess.
So it seemed like there were some really interesting elements for setup with these cards. But then initiative also seemed really weird because from what I understand, like you roll a bunch of dice. You roll like 6 dice.
Correct.
And the person who got the most single dice goes first, but then you use doubles to activate powers for your team.
You got doubles, triples, and quads. And you can basically use those to activate really powerful abilities. And obviously the quads are way more powerful.
So it's basically you're trading initiative in the round for potentially, randomly, you're determining whether you're going to get initiative or whether you're going to have a cool power to use.
But sometimes that initiative can be huge. Like we played a game where it was kind of like football, where he's trying to get his guys off the end of my board, and I'm trying to do the same. If I get to go first, I basically can kill his guy who's really close, and he doesn't score that point.
Yep.
If he goes first, he's getting that point, and there's nothing I can do to stop him. So and one of the biggest things about this game is Kill Team is a direct correlation from 40K. So the stats are the same, the models are essentially the same. It's just
they want you to
40K,
grow up.
Tons of customization. You can do your army however you want. It's just smaller skirmish battles. This game is a completely different game than Age of Sigmar, and it plays very few elements are actually similar. They do.
So the rules are totally different.
Basically, yes, and they're way easier. The rule book's like 8 pages. I mean, it's super simple.
So, if the rule book's 8 pages, why
is there 7,000 pages in there or 50?
I got 160.
Can't. I'm wildly off, obviously. Half this rule book is set up for campaigns and running stuff, right? And then there's a bunch of lore about the factions and stuff and what you can do. But that's the meat of the book. And then literally like 8-10 pages are the rules and how to get started. And they also give you this sweet guide that shows you how to assemble everything and what colors you can use to paint them. Here's literally everything you get in this box, like warband, beast, and just a mountain of terrain.
So this is 2 warbands, and then there's like 6 more warbands or 8 more warbands, I think.
There's 6 total chaos warbands, and then there's another 8 that are like you got your what are they called, the Sigmar, the
Stormcast
Eternals. There's a couple orc races. There's goblins. There's some deepkin or something.
Yep, the Idoneth Deepkin.
I imagine more are coming.
There's no Nurgle Glotkin yet.
Nope, but I imagine something's on the way.
They better.
So
I bought this set because it seemed like it was just a really good value for miniatures.
It's a fantastic
It sounded like there were some interesting mechanical elements, even if I'm not a huge Sigmar fan. And then, like, honestly, on some level, I was also just like, if I don't like the game, then I can just convert these into Chaos Cultists for 100%. My 40K game.
The other cool thing about this game is, so I play a lot of miniatures games, and I was a little concerned it was going to be too easy, which at core it is easy, but it's also made to be a campaign game and stuff like that. But there's not, I think for intro people, it's kind of like, okay, if I do Kill Team though, I got to buy this kit to get the guy with this gun out of it, and this one to do that, and I got to do a lot of model kit bashing. Where this is like, you have this kit, you have all the guys, here's all the cards for them with their stats, you're good to go.
Okay.
And there's not really much customization. There's very little customization to do.
Is that good or bad, do you think?
Some people aren't going to like it, but I think a lot of people will like it because it's like, look, I got my Kill Team for that.
Sure.
But when I just want to roll dice and smash face, this is my game for sure.
You think this is really like accessible, basically?
Absolutely, and the terrain is actually used a lot more. Like you can knock people off terrain, you can jump off terrain, you can walk over dangerous terrain, and all those things, you can take damage from doing them. There's even a twist where like, there's ghosts in the walls and they'll attack you if you're too close to terrain. It's nuts. This game is massively chaotic and easy to get into. There's also what's really cool is there's no defense rolls in this game. It's like you have a strength, they have a toughness. If you hit them, this guy would do 1 damage. If you crit him, he would do 3 damage. And it's super straightforward. And then they take that damage. But guys also have 10, 15, 20, even 30 hit points.
Sounds like it's very, very fast and streamlined.
It's way faster than even Kill Team. I played a game in 20 minutes.
Wow.
And don't be wrong, it should have taken longer, but I was terrible and I got murdered immediately. And then I played a more realistic game and it probably took 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
But man, I had such a blast playing it.
It still sounds real
because
fast.
Half these games, other than my first game, I haven't been head down in the rule book half the time. Okay, hold on. In this situation, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like, yeah, okay, you got 3 strength, you got 3 toughness, I got 4 strength, I need 3s.
Great.
And boom. Quick fun, fantastic miniatures and terrain, great value. We played every Wednesday night at Zulu's, boom. And we're having a blast.
Sweet.
So I highly recommend it if you're into miniature games or
if you're thinking about getting into it. So like me, Emma, we were talking earlier, is just kind of getting into it.
I want to spend $50 and have a warband, or screw it, I'll put down the 170, get 2 factions, terrain, rule book, and everything I need to play. But
so alongside this, the rule book is separate now.
Yes.
You can buy the booster like packs, for lack of a better term, that have the rules for the different factions. You get all the card rules.
Those are like $8. So if you're like, look, I already have an orc army. I can buy the orc pack. I can buy the rule book. I can even buy the battle setup cards separately for a couple bucks. And if you want the carrying case of the ruler, that's just excess. But there's good support for it. The new races are actually coming out Saturday, this Saturday, and hopefully
there's a couple
kits will
really
be coming out soon.
Yeah, there's a couple really neat cults in there.
Oh yeah, like the unmade and the snake guys look really cool. There's like a crow race. They all look pretty sweet.
I keep looking at it all from the perspective of how good will this be for my my Thousand Sons and Death Guard cultists.
I mean, it'll work.
Sweet.
But yeah.
Games Workshop's wow, we got another box toot. You have to clip that one.
Clipped that one. That was a big one.
A big old box toot. Yeah, so Games Workshop's been coming out with a lot of kind of standalone spin-off games that have been pretty good lately.
Which is good to see, because they used to do it a lot back in the day, and they'd come out and then they'd kind of just let them die.
Sure.
And I think they're actually trying to support them now and keep them going. So like, that's what I thought was going to happen with Underworlds when that came out, and they're already releasing their third set.
Yeah, I was about to say they're on like the third season for that now.
Which I'm really excited for. And so I hope they keep doing this stuff. Games Workshop has really turning around their image and of how they do things. And yeah, I want to see more of it. I love it.
Great. Well, thanks for bringing out these games. Is there anything else that you want to say about Zulus or anything else?
Honestly, just if you're in the area and you've never been or you have been, come by. Like, we have a lot of cool new stuff happening. And again, PAX is August 30th to the 2nd. So we hope to see some of you guys there. If you watched it, come say hi to me.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure to stop by and say hi.
I'll make sure I hook you up with some kind of deal or something, and just for your
You heard it here. He promises some kind of deal or something.
Like at least 1% or a hug.
All right.
Off the game. No, I'll hook it up, man. I love giving people deals. I like it, just making people happy. So
on that note,
come see me.
Thank you for joining us. These are some of the new games that have come out just recently. So go stop by your store, check some of them out, and hopefully you found something great.
Absolutely. They're all solid Zulus, by the way.
And we will see everybody hopefully next week. Remember, on Monday nights we have Brothers Murph. We have Peter Atkinson and Fireside on Wednesdays. We have Table Takes on Fridays before this. And then we have New Release Rundown on Fridays. We should have Kristen and her hype stream coming back on Tuesdays, but she is currently on vacation post-Gen Con, so we will see what that looks like when she returns. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Remember to follow, subscribe, so that you get notifications when we go live, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.